Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a pick that's going to highlight some items I picked up at two different estate sales. One was right here in my hometown. Interestingly enough, I was sitting in a coffee shop chatting with a friend, and another friend of mine came in who's not from the area and happened to see me, and he's from the flea market scene, and he says, "What are you doing sitting in here drinking coffee when there's an estate sale right down the street?" And I didn't even realize it, but there was literally an estate sale right around the corner from where I was having my coffee. So I decided to stop in there on the way back. He had told me there wasn't much there. He had picked some vintage video games, you know, like some old Sega and Atari stuff. He does well with that kind of stuff. He knows what to look for. I occasionally will pick that stuff, but I know a lot less about it. Anyways, I was glad that he had told me about it, because even though I didn't get much at that particular sale, most of the stuff in this video is going to actually come from a second sale I went to on my way home from a doctor's appointment. Another one, unscheduled stop, just kind of going by, saw the estate sale sign, stopped in and got some picks there. But let's get the stuff out of the way here. This is everything I picked at that sale. I just, you know, my typical estate sale, looking at everything, saw up on the shelf some of the garage chemicals and realized they usually end up going pretty cheap because they just want to get rid of the stuff. And actually found this a little later and got him to throw these all in together. I think I paid like $10 for the lot. And what this is Explorer brand, so it's probably from, like, I don't know, Tractor Supply or someplace. Engine oil, or maybe it's even Harbor Freight. Does Harbor Freight sell oil these days? I wouldn't be surprised. Anyways, cheap oil, exactly what it's for. Small engines, 30 weight, and they're not even full quarts. They're these weird 20-ounce bottles. So I got 3 of the 20-ounce bottles, and then, well, here's a quart. Lawnmower oil. This was $6.50 new, though. You know, oil's getting expensive, so when you can buy it cheap. And then this one was $8.79. Again, Explorer brand, small engine oil. So any small engines I have that I need to do oil changes on or whatever, this is a cheap way to do it. Especially if it's like, you know, one of these pieces of junk I haul home and we're not sure whether or not it's going to even last. Hate to put expensive oil in it just to find out that it ends up being a piece of junk later. But this is the best thing I picked, I think, at this sale. You see, they had this label on it describing it as a student flute and piccolo. So there was an estate sale type of guy there running the estate sale. So the owner wasn't there. I ended up making an offer on this initially. He didn't want to take that. And then I came back later, because again, this is right, like, not far from my home, and the owner was there, and I came back and I said, "Well, I see it's still sitting there. Would you consider my offer now?" And he turned to the homeowner and she said, "Sure." So I think they were originally asking for like 35 or 45 for this thing, and I think I ended up getting this for like 20 or 25. So why did I want this? Well, the interesting thing to me is this piece right here. This flute is, I don't believe this is anything special. Now, there are certain ones of these that are actually early enough that they're made of sterling silver, which makes them quite valuable. I have no reason to believe this is one of those. I think this is much later. This is just a Bundy Selmer USA. So this is probably a student model Bundy flute. I don't know what kind of work it would need to get this playing again. I don't really care, because what I really wanted was I wanted this. This is a piccolo. Now, what's interesting about this piccolo is that I think it says Gemeinhardt, Elkhart, Indiana. I actually looked this up already. So I haven't seen too many of these that haven't traded for over 50 on eBay. I apologize, I don't have my phone with me, so I can't look this up and tell you what the name is, but it's I can't make out that first letter. But Hart is spelled H-A-R-D-T. So I don't know a lot about these instruments. There's a little bit of what looks like pitting or corrosion on the end here. Yeah, just a tiny bit. There's almost like a trademark above the manufacturer's name. It looks like 2 brackets like this with 3 dots on each side and a big C in the middle. And there's a number 3816 underneath the Elkhart, Indiana. It's interesting, the engraving on this looks to be completely done by hand, almost like freehand engraving. I don't know if that's a sign of possibly that this is a handcrafted, something special about it or not, but see if I can get this to focus. So anyways, we'll see. Don't know what I've got here, if it's going to be a bust or a boom, but certainly going to take a chance on it. Last time I bought an instrument at an estate sale like this, ended up being a horn, and I ended up getting it for like 40 or 50 bucks. It sat there during the entire estate sale and no one was interested in it, and I ended up making an offer on it at the end and ended up getting it. I took that home and I did some research and discovered that that particular horn is called a euphonium, spelled E-U-P-H-O-N-I-U-M, I believe. Euphonium. It's a brass, it's in the brass family of instruments. It falls somewhere below, I think, like a tuba and a French horn, maybe. I'm not an expert, but, it just ended up turning out, the particular manufacturer was it's early made, like early 1900s manufacturer from out in, again, the Midwest somewhere. So just kind of ended up being a really killer piece. I still own it. I haven't sold it. I really should, because I don't know how sometimes these things continue to go up in value and then they reach a point where they just drop off like a rock. So I don't know. But anyways, that's what kind of made me think, I should roll the dice on something like this. So we'll see. Case is really trashed, And I don't know. I don't think this is the original case. I think somebody just stuck this in here, I don't think they would have put a Bundy and a whatever the heck name this thing is together in the same case. All right. Enough of that twaddle. Carry on. So this other estate sale I stopped at, they had an old barn, garage barn kind of thing attached to the back of the house, like they did back in the day, so that the farmer could, in the wintertime, you could get to the livestock to take care of it. Anyways, down in there, had been picked through pretty much, I guess, by whoever came before me. It was already midday by the time I was coming through. But I happened to spot this box and realized that what this box says is in it is actually what was in this. Nobody had bothered taking it. I guess they just figured it wouldn't work. And I got it for like $5 or $10, took a chance on it. And this is the third one of these that I've gotten, and in both of those previous cases, neither one of those will take a charge. So my plan is I'm going to tear those open and probably replace the batteries in them and revive them if I can get a decent deal on replacement cells for them. This one, when I opened it up, this still was wrapped up and it still had the wire tie on the cable, which that's what was the dead giveaway, that this was brand new, never used. But like a lot of the stuff there, it was already old. So even though it had never been used, it had been sitting around all these years. So it was dead as a doornail when I, tried testing it. And then I decided, well, what the heck, let's see if it takes a charge. So I left it on, charged it overnight. When I got done charging it, I think when I pressed this button, all the lights lit up. Now, I haven't really used this for anything, and you can see it's already just showing a red light. And the only thing I was able to get this thing to do is to get these lights to come on, and now they're like really dim. It's funny, they're almost like, I think they're little tiny fluorescent lights. That's kind of probably a dead giveaway of
some of the age to this thing. These would be LEDs in a modern one. But they don't really want to light up now because the power's so low. And after I gave it a full charge, the lights actually seemed to work kind of decent. But as soon as I tried to give a little boost to the lawn and garden tractor, this thing did nothing. So I'm quite confident that this is going to just need new batteries, not unlike the other ones.
I was looking around at the stuff that was on the shelves in that garage, and there was, over on the workbench, there was actually some junk that nobody had bothered scooping, which was this stuff here. This is a Sears Craftsman 96677 drill bit attachment. I've had a few of these over the years. These usually bring about 15 or 20 bucks. And then there was these American Optical safety goggles. So these, unfortunately, they've got like some severe mildew issues on them, as you can see. But what's cool about these is that these are vintage welding goggles. So these have kind of become popular in what is referred to as the steampunk movement. So you can see they've got kind of a creepy look to them. So I'll offer these on eBay probably. And you know, for what I paid for these, even if these only bring $5 or $10, that'd be a good score. Because I think I got the whole lot for, you know, like $5. These, same thing. It's just this part of the lens that's actually kind of gross. The actual main part of the goggle is still in pretty good shape. And then there was also even these. These are they're clear poly C, so probably polycarbonate safety glasses. So check these out. Pretty cool old vintage, but again, you can see they've got this disgusting growth on them. Something weird that eats that kind of plastic, I guess. If these were in mint condition, these would actually probably bring 40 bucks easily on eBay. There is actually a market, believe it or not, for vintage safety eyewear, and here is the more traditional plastic frames. So these will clean up a lot better. And again, these are new old stock, so that's what's kind of cool about these. Then over on some shelves in the garage, I spotted a couple of CB radios, and one of them was just a small, forgot what brand it was, 40 channel or 23 channel mobile. This mobile I decided to snag because this one's a TRC 448, and what's neat about this is it's a sideband. So this is a 40 channel with upper lower sideband by Realistic. So this would have been sold through Radio Shack back in the day. It has the 5-pin common to like Motorola's and that DIN type plug, I think they call it. It's got the original microphone. It's got the same mildew problem. Again, have no idea if it even works. And maybe at some point we'll do a video on this. But I just thought it was kind of a cool radio, and again, I knew I was going to get it for like $5 or $10 because of the condition, and nobody else seemed to want it. And then also on the same shelving, I spotted this box which has Micronta, which is, again, that is a brand that was sold through Radio Shack, regulated 12-volt power supply, catalog number 22-124. That's a big-time Radio Shack number. Custom manufactured in the USA by Radio Shack, a division of the Tandy Corporation, Fort Worth, Texas. So what's kind of neat about this is that this is actually what's in here, and it appears to be brand new old stock, never used. But it's funny, I remember my friend when we were kids, my friend had a CB radio in his bedroom, and it was a I don't remember the brand, it might have been a Realistic mobile radio. on a base antenna, and he ran it off of one of these Micronta 12-volt regulated power supplies. Again, probably only got this for about $5. I ended up putting all of this stuff together in one lot and getting it all for like $20 or some crazy low number. And again, this was because it was later in the afternoon when I stopped at this, so most of the big-time pickers had already been through there and passed on most of this stuff, or didn't spot it for whatever reason. But here's the funny thing. The guy said, oh, if you like radios, he said, there's a big bass radio up in the house. So I went into the house and I asked around, and unfortunately, apparently, the guy I spoke to in the garage didn't realize that one of the other people had already sold that radio. So I would have loved to have seen what that was, but they did have a base station CB radio and had sold it earlier in the day. But what was still there, and they wanted, I think they wanted $50 for it, but since it was still there and I was the only one who came along and seemed to show any interest in it, I think I ended up getting this for $30. So let me clear the bench here and show you what kind of a boat anchor I got for $30. And here it is, a Hallicrafters model SX99 receiver. So I've had, I forgot what model I had previously of a Hallicraft receiver, but this one seems like it's a little bit nicer than the last one that I had as far as the model series, because it's got a large signal meter. I don't think the one I had even had a signal meter at all. It's got a receive standby switch, so you can keep it in standby mode and it'll be quiet, and just keep the tubes warm so that you're ready to receive by just flipping the switch. You don't have to wait for the tubes to warm up. It has a pitch control, which is tone, volume. It's got a built-in noise limiter. It's got a AM or continuous wave carrier mode switch. It has a selectivity switch, band selector, sensitivity switch, which is kind of like an RF gain, an antenna trimmer, and then of course we have the tuning knobs, tuning and band spread knobs. So have no idea if it works. I kind of doubt that it does, but I decided to take a chance on it for the $30 that they wanted for this thing. And I think I'll do a video on this separate at one point, and we'll fire it up on the bench and see just, you know, how bad things might be, or whether or not it comes to life or whatever. All right, so I think this is going to wrap this video up. I hope that you enjoyed this series of picks that I picked up at this estate sale. And if you do, please hit the like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Take care.